You sit down to study, open your book, and suddenly everything else feels way more interesting.
Maybe I should check my phone for a second. Just one video. Maybe I should grab something to eat first. Then your brain starts questioning everything. Do I even need this degree? Should I just quit everything and move somewhere quiet? Sounds familiar? You're definitely not the only one. Most students spend hours studying, but use methods that barely work. They reread the same pages again and again, highlight everything, and then wonder why they forget it all during the exam. But what if you could learn faster, remember more, and still have time for the things you enjoy? Ignore these tips, and you'll probably stay trapped in the same cycle: procrastination, last minute studying, stress, and disappointing results. So stay until the end, because the final tip is the difference between average students and the ones who consistently get top results. Tip number one: make your brain want to start studying. Your brain naturally avoids difficult tasks. If you give yourself an entire afternoon to study, your brain will slowly stretch the work across the entire afternoon. This is known as Parkinson's law. Work expands to fill the amount of time you give it. So instead of saying, I need to study for 3 hours, tell yourself, I'll only study for 20 minutes. A short session feels much easier to start. And once you overcome that first resistance, you'll often find yourself continuing longer than planned. Tip number two: learn like someone who truly understands. Albert Einstein is often credited with saying, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. One of the fastest ways to learn something is to teach it. Here's the method. First, imagine you're explaining the topic to a child. Use simple words. Avoid complicated terms. Then find the moments where you struggle to explain something. Those gaps reveal exactly what you need to review. Finally, simplify your explanation even further. Because real learning isn't about memorizing sentences. It's about understanding the idea behind them. Tip number three: stop reading. Start remembering. Want your brain to actually keep information? Stop relying only on rereading your notes. Use active recall. Close your textbook and try to explain the main ideas without looking. Write down everything you remember before checking your notes. Flashcards can also help, but only if you use them as a test, not as something you simply read. Your brain grows stronger when it has to retrieve information. Tip number four: use the deadline effect. Have you noticed how focused you become when an exam is tomorrow? That's because urgency forces your brain to concentrate. You can create that same effect yourself. Set a timer for 30 minutes. Treat that time like a serious deadline. No distractions, just focused studying. Then take a 5-minute break. Walk around, stretch, or check your phone without feeling guilty. Repeat the cycle. Short focused sessions prevent burnout and keep your attention sharp because your brain knows a reward is coming. This helps you avoid fake studying, sitting with your notes open while your mind is somewhere else. Tip number five: study what actually matters. Working harder doesn't always mean getting better results. Some information is much more valuable than other information. That's where the 80-20 rule comes in. Around 80% of your results usually come from the most important 20% of your effort. So stop spending hours on tiny details that probably won't appear on the exam. Ask yourself, what topics are most likely to be tested? Which concepts do I still not understand? Which things do I already know and can skip? A powerful trick used by top students. Take a practice test before you even start studying. It immediately shows you what areas deserve the most attention. Then spend most of your time improving those weak points. Tip number six: the learning shortcut nobody talks about. You can use every study technique in the world, but if your brain doesn't process information correctly, you'll forget it quickly. Most students focus only on what they study. They ignore the system that actually stores knowledge. Your brain doesn't fully save information while you're sitting at your desk. A huge part of memory happens when you're sleeping. That's why pulling an all-nighter before an exam is usually a terrible strategy. Without enough sleep, your brain has less time to organize and store what you learned. Aim for around 7 to 8 hours of sleep, because that's when your brain turns short-term information into long-term memory. And sleep isn't the only upgrade. Exercise matters too. Even a simple walk can improve focus, mood, and memory. When you combine smart studying with proper recovery, you don't just learn faster, you actually remember what you learned. Here's your 6-step study formula. Use short timers to create focus. Teach information to understand it deeply. Test yourself instead of rereading. Study in short, intense sessions. Focus on the most important 20%. And remember, sleep and movement are free upgrades for your brain.